Hey guys, Alex from 7th Hour Films back again with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Last time on JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, we had Find Pulpo's Fortune. So, the word got around that Pulpo committed suicide, as far as everybody's aware. And that means there's a bit of a power vacuum for the next capo. And, Bucciarati has decided that he will become the next capo. Hold on, Okay. Sorry, I got a text, and it distracted me for a moment. So, whenever I do this, it means I got a text on my phone, because that's what I use to film, because I'm a plebe who doesn't have a decent camera. I don't know. Anyway, what was I saying? Anyway, Bucciarati wants to take Pulpo's place as capo, and to do so, he needs to find Pulpo's fortune, which he was the one who buried, I believe, on the island of Capri, or Capri, as they said. So he takes Giorno to meet his team. His very dysfunctional team of teenage idiots, which includes Abbacchio, who pissed in a cup and forced Giorno to drink it, Mista, who hates the number 4, Fugo, who is a psychopath at math, and Narancia, who is an idiot. But that's not really describing Narancia different from anyone else, because the 4 of them are really stupid. But they're a lot of fun. It's like having 4 Polnareffs. It's terrifying, but yeah. Anywho, so we got to the gang, and then we went on a boat, and we're on our way to the island of Capri, but then they were attacked by a stand, presumably a stand user from within the Passione Familia, because they want to get to the fortune and become capo. So yeah. And then Abbacchio could use his stand to solve the situation, but he is skeptical of Giorno because he's an outsider, so Giorno just ran headfirst in to prove himself. So, yeah. Anyway, like always, the reaction is down in the description and the pinned comments for your viewing pleasure. So let's just go ahead and jump right into this episode of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Here we go. So it was 2 boats. So I guess they rented, I guess, boat 2. But then he got boat 1, and he form-fit the boat over the other boat. And that's how he did it. And so the other pipe... No, hold on. That's reading too far into it, I think. I don't know. You know, you guys told me that the stands were going to get way more complicated in this part. And boy, they are. And honestly, this one's not that complicated, I suppose. This one is compression, I guess. If he stabs you, it releases all the air out of your body and compresses you down, basically. Alright. Well, here's the good thing. Bruno's stand is really good. I like it. Like, I like that it can sort of, It has very interesting applications. So, Zipper Man, or for those of you who don't want to cringe every time I say that, Sticky Fingers, I at least like that. I think that may be like the least complicated stand we've had so far, apart from Reverb. Reverb Act 3, But, yeah. Because even Golden Wind is, isn't that much more complicated, but the whole senses thing has always confused me, but whatever. But it doesn't matter. The main thing of giving life, I understand that. Okay, but this guy can deflate a body and compress it and mold it to his whim, I suppose. And Moody Jazz can record time. He can record everything around him, and then he can replay it. Now, that's not too complicated, I will grant. It's one of those things, it's specific, you know? It's very, very, very specific. And there are a lot of stands in JoJo, in both Part 3 and Part 4, where I kind of look at them and it's like, these are so specific that they're practically useless aside from this one episode where you have to, you know, the stars have to align to be able to use this stand. I'm thinking of The Lock, you know? I'm thinking of Mariah with Bast or Bastet or whatever, however you want to say it, you know? Alessi. Alessi is probably one of those too, you know? Superfly. God, there is never going to be a stand as bad as Superfly. You know what? Let's just say that right off the bat, that no matter how complex these stands get in Part 5, they're not going to be as bad as Superfly. But that's the thing. It's like, you know, there's a joke with, like, My Hero Academia where it's like, oh, some quirks turn you into, you know, unkillable gods. Some turn your head into a cactus, you know? Like, there can be such a discrepancy between quirks on My Hero, you know? And stands are kind of like that too, except almost worse, you know? And there are some that sort of throttle the line of useful or not, like the Emperor. It's a gun. And that's great if you're going to the shooting range or something like that. But unless you're killing people, it's not that useful, you know? And whatever. That's not the worst, but you know. Or who the hell was it Zenyatta? Who was like, he can change the way his face looks. Ooh. How amazing. I mean, maybe if you're a spy, sure, but I will say, okay, these two stands, what the hell was this one called? Hold on, there was a card for it in the middle, I think. Tender Machine with Stand Master Mario Zucchero. Okay, Tender Machine. I'm sure that's a censored song of some sort. Okay. Let me get all my thoughts together. Abilities. I would say not the most useful. Not the most useful stand abilities. That said, somewhat useful. You know, if you have to compress things, sure. And I guess he can compress himself too. Alright, not the most useful, but alright. The recording, good for solving mysteries, but not a whole lot. One thing I will give credit to both of these, though. They are humanoid. And I have to give them that. Because, you know, like Mariah with Bast, or Basset, or whatever. You know what that stand is? It's an electrical outlet that you have to trick someone into touching, and then they start magnetizing everything. And that sucks. But these all have forms, and I like that. I like that they all have forms. Honestly, Tender Machine here looks really cool. Like, I like all the spikes. I like the sword. Slight, Silver Chariot callback. But I like that. Moody Jazz. Great design. I love that. I love Zipperman's design. I'm sorry to everyone who wants me to say Sticky Fingers, but I'm not going to say that. So, that at least is all good. Watch, I'm like coming around on all of these stands in this episode, So I like that at the very least they are humanoid. When Abakio has like finished using his ability, he can then attack with Moody Jazz, and that's pretty cool, I like that at least. So there's at least that, because there are some like OG Heaven's Door. Great ability, but it was very specific. Rohan literally had to evolve Heaven's Door into a normal stand in order to get it to work, You could argue the same thing about Reverb, but they fucked up Reverb so bad with Act 3. It's so terrible. And I know I'm over here talking about how, humanoid stands are really good, But then, at the same time, what's a really good non-humanoid stand? Hermit Purple. So don't think I'm arguing for the sake of, all stands need to be humanoid, but some of them. If you've got a pretty jank ability, you probably should. Reverb, Reverb still had some combat with Act 2. We didn't need Act 3. Or if you're going to do Act 3, at least do something actually with sound. I know. How do I do it? How did I rant about... We're ranting about Act 3 specifically, not Koichi, but... And the show went out of its way to make sure that those two things are separate entities anyway, so... Anyway. What I'm trying to say is... Moody Jazz, a very interesting, very specific ability, but it's pretty good. Tender Machine, also pretty good. Zipperman, great. I love that. I love Zipperman. I love you just open up a bunch of zippers. Cool. And then not only that, but it's like, he's about to kill Abakio and he's over there. So he just quickly unzips and throws his hand and punches Mario, Like, that is really, really cool. I like that. Which, honestly, doing that, kind of Hermit Purple-ish, Just that sort of range, that sort of whip range that Zipperman has. So, yeah, I mean, if you want to ask me so far what maybe my favorite stand of Part 5 is, probably Zipperman. And then probably after that would be Golden Wind, and then Shadow Sabbath, I guess, because of the design, Yeah. Hey-ho. So we got Abakio's backstory, which was interesting, that he used to be a cop. On the streets of Napoli. But things just, they didn't work out. And it's interesting, too, because, last episode, there were the old ladies who were talking to Bruno, and they were like, her son is beating her, and the drugs he's taking and stuff. And it's clear they go to Bruno, even though he's not a capo, they go to him because he's part of the Passione, He is at least someone in the Passione, which commands respect. So, you go over there, you take care of business, You go over there, you take care of business. But the police, no, you don't go to the police for that, which is interesting. And I like that. I like that sort of distinction, but I like how they follow up with that with Abakio, that it's like, he was a cop, but because he was a cop, that was actually worse, because he didn't get things done. He was constantly berated and yelled at, And then, if you become a crooked cop, you're sort of in this catch-22 of like, well, I could try to do this, but it's not going to really result in anything, so why don't I take the bribe? But if I take the bribe and I catch this guy later, then he's going to talk and stuff like that, you know? So it's this sort of catch-22 of being a dirty cop even, that Abbacchio just couldn't handle, until eventually it's like, well, you can make a difference somewhere, but not as a man of the law, but a man of, I suppose, crime, as a man, of the familia, So I like that. And, and everything just kept spiraling, especially after he lost his partner, So I like that. I like that, that sort of draws around, basically. I like that, ties in to this world we're creating, because this is very different from what we've had, part 1 and part 2, those are period pieces. Part 3, that's an adventure going to, here's these interesting cultures and stuff. Part 4 is just, here's a bunch of fights that happen in this town, basically. Part 5, I like how they're setting this world, this world in Italy. Like, it's really nice. Like, it's not just, here we are in Italy, it's like, this is actually like a real world. So I like that. That was really cool. And then, we get Moody Jazz and his ability to record and replay everything. And so they went back and replayed what happened to Narancia, which was pretty cool. It's an interesting ability that it's like, it's very, very specific, but it works. And the fact that it is humanoid, makes it work, I think, So, yeah. So that was interesting. And then, they were following the fly and everything, because they did, I like that pretty much made them trust in Giorno, too. Pretty much no Giorno in this episode, which is interesting, just apart from what we saw last episode. So, so they followed the fly until eventually Abbacchio figured it out and had to pass on that the information to Bruno, which was cool. And it's interesting. Some of you guys told me that that Bruno is actually like a favorite Joe bro, basically, or at least of Araki. So we may be getting a lot of Bruno episodes. I'm honestly down for that because I really like him, and it makes sense that, the leader of this team would have a decent number of, time to himself, So, well, I was going to say, never mind. But, it's really, really interesting. So, I like that. I like how he figured it out, and he was able to sink the other boat, basically. He sunk the other boat, but their boat was still good. And, and he won. They're all free, and they all reinflated, and now we're good. So, we can head back, or we can head off, continue our mission on finding Pulpo's treasure, which is pretty cool. But interesting episode. Took me a little bit to sort of come around on the stands, but I do like that they have a physical body, And I feel like that's important, because there are some, even though you sort of get a little bit of that with Alessi with the sort of shadow, but like, Bast, the Lock, stuff like that, I don't really care for that. Or like early Heaven's Door before Rohan was able to evolve it to give it a form. That's all, it's all fine and good, but if you have a stand, it should have a body, And even stuff like Hermit Purple or Act 1 and Act 2 of Reverb, they do have a form of some sort, so they are useful, so I like that. And and honestly, I'm really down for the designs of Moody Jazz and Tender Machine, whatever they're supposed to be actually called aside, So, interesting stuff, really like it, great episode, and I'm curious to see where we are going next time. So that is basically it. With all that being said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around to any of those. There's a playlist for all of my JoJo's Bizarre Adventure reactions, as well as another video you can go click on if you want. There's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button on screen, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. See you guys later.